You're right there, ladies and gents, how's it going? I'm down at Brighton Moto. I'm just bringing my Tuareg 660 in for its service. Sorry guys about how dirty it is, but yeah. Anyway, yes, so while that's in for its service, I've got a nice little demonstrator. Yes, it's the Aprilia Tuono 660 Factory. And it needs running in, so I can't be mean to it. I can't ride it hard, but I can stick some miles on it, that's for sure. I really enjoyed my time on the standard Tuono, so I'm really quite looking forward to seeing whether the differences are noticeable in this. Now, like I say, it's brand spanking new. It's got like 16 miles on the clock, so I'm not going to be able to cane it or properly ride it or whatever, but I will get some miles done on it. Alright, let's go and do that, shall we?
Keep that bar. Drop aside. Down.
Now, I don't want this to be a mega long video, as I've already reviewed the standard version of this bike on the channel. I'll put a link to that up in the corner and at the end of the video. But yeah, there are some differences with this. Now, it's been a while since I've researched it, so yeah, I'm not really classing this as a review, because I just can't. I can't do that to it. Although I've actually got this for longer than I had the last one. I don't really know enough about it, other than it's got the IMUs and the extra horsepower that the RS has, and yeah, there's a few little tweaks that they've done to this that make it more factory, I guess. So this is the Aprilia Tuono 660 Factory, brought to you with thanks to Brighton Moto. It's their demonstrator. They're a cracking dealership. I've bought 2 motorbikes from them new now, and would have no qualms in recommending them to anyone for servicing or sales or whatever, or just to chat about bikes. They're really good guys down there. But anyway, the bike. Right, there's some little things that I've noticed that are slightly different with this, other than the paint, obviously, versus the bike I demoed before. On this one, you get the tailpiece included in the price of the bike, and I don't know whether you get a seat unit for the passenger, because this hasn't got any pillion pegs. Yeah, so I don't know if pillion pegs and a passenger are an option on this, or whether it's stock and standard. Another different thing with the foot pegs, on this one here you get the same pegs that you get on the RS660, which are just sort of solid aluminium. Nothing wrong with that as such, although with the Tuono being more of a street focused motorcycle, I quite liked that the standard version, or at least the one I demoed, had rubber inserts on the foot pegs, which made them a little bit more comfortable, less vibey and stuff like that. Right, let's get back out on the road and yeah, let's talk about how the bike feels. Point to sell, the side stand is in a very different position than it is on the Tuareg. And it sits very far forward on the bike. To get it down is easy, the lug is in a very natural place, but the stand itself is in quite a long way away from where the foot peg is. Something I didn't mention when we were doing the walk around was that this bike has an up and down quick shifter. The standard Tuono 660 doesn't come with one, although you can spec it. And although I am enjoying using it on this bike, and I can see a purpose for it, certainly on a bike when you're actually going a bit faster. I mean, the quick shifters always seem to work better when you're going faster, from what I've heard. This is the first bike I've ever ridden with a quick shifter fitted, so yeah, I wouldn't say I'm sold on it. I wouldn't say it would be a deal breaker for me if a motorcycle I bought didn't have a quick shifter. But this bike is incredibly compact. The only thing that's not compact on it is the seat height. Yes, it's definitely a lofty bike. I know a lot of bikes are similar heights these days, but my Gixxer 750, I can almost flat foot that, whereas this, I'm on tippy toes of 1 foot. It almost feels as tall as my Tuareg, but that has bouncy suspension, so it compresses when I sit on it, whereas this has got more firmer road bias suspension, which means that yeah, it doesn't compress so much when you sit on it, so therefore the ground's still just as far away. And there was me thinking all them beers and pies were going to make things better. The suspension on this is very good. I did think to start with that it was a bit firm, but actually it's not firm, it's sporty, but the damping on it is, it's fantastic, and it soaks up bumps so well. Yeah, I'm actually incredibly impressed with the suspension on this. Now, I'm no Valentino Rossi, I don't know how to do 1,000,000 miles an hour or stuff like that, but I do know whether my posterior is comfy or not, or whether my wrists are being jarred and all that sort of stuff, and I'm not. This is a very lovely ride. It is sporty, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's not sporty, but it is a very lovely ride. Yeah, I mean, the quick shifter, it works, it does its thing, but I don't feel I need one in my life. But with saying that, I'd not discount a bike that had one. I'd certainly not discount a bike that had one. But yeah, again, regarding the feet position and stuff like that, stuff like that. It's quite comfortable generally. The crouch, sort of the knee triangle and all that sort of stuff isn't too extreme. My Gixxer is certainly far more extreme, and that does get a little bit uncomfortable on miles, whereas this doesn't crunch your knees up quite so badly. And the bars themselves are very comfy too, so yeah, it's all pretty good. The only criticisms really is that it's slightly further to the bar than I'd like, but I don't think that's a fair thing to say. That's just purely because I've got a duff shoulder, and I find the reach a bit of a struggle. But yeah, this is a cracking bike. This is a cracking bike. But yeah, I was saying about things that I am unsure on whether I like or dislike, or just details that they could address and all that sort of stuff. And I am very much noticing the swing arm moving against my feet. Now, I don't know whether it's got heel plates or not. I will stop and take another look around at some point, or if I don't, you can look back at the walk around I did before and see if it's got any. But yeah, I'm very much feeling that my feet are in contact with the swing arm, and it's not like just a little bit. That's it. My feet are on the pegs and on the swing arm. So around town, this seems like an easy enough bike to live with. Yeah, it's got a really nice light clutch pull, so that's not going to tire your left hand out. The upright bars help for throwing in and out of traffic, but it's manoeuvrable enough to get between the cars. Yeah, I imagine the RS is probably similar in traffic as well. Skinny bikes, they're great for this sort of thing. Really should have used my indicators then. Naughty boy. Quite a few people criticised the Tuareg for getting very hot due to the exhaust, the catalytic converter on the exhaust pipe, making the area around their feet really hot, or at least their right foot. And I didn't really suffer with that to an extent that I thought it was worth complaining about, although I have remedied it entirely by fitting a decat exhaust pipe. Another thing I forgot to mention on this when I was doing the walk around was that it's got cruise control. I just kind of assumed that people would realise that, because I don't know why I assumed that. But yes, it's got cruise control just like the Tuareg has. So yeah, that's kind of nice, and I've used it earlier on just to give my right arm a little bit of a break. Yeah, for people with injuries like myself, having things like that are a godsend. Now, I know not everyone cares for stuff like that, the same as I'm not really that bothered too much about an up and down quick shifter, but they do make your life easier. And when you're tired, having anything that can give you a little bit of a break, a respite for your injuries and stuff like that is a good thing, because it keeps you on the road, it keeps you biking, stops you giving up the ghost and just getting rid of bikes from your life, because it makes them usable, manageable and accessible to some people. Oh man, I do love this road. Noticing the lightweight of this bike along here though. Yeah, it bounces around a little bit more than a heavier bike would. I think the last time I came along here was possibly on my V85. I'm not sure, might have done it on the Tuareg, I don't know. But yes, yeah, on the V85 that's very planted along here because it weighs as much as a tank. But yeah, this is a little bit dinky. I bet we've got cyclists, haven't we? Stupid cyclists. Well, that's what we like to see. Now we're coming into a town, we're going to end up with a speed limit, aren't we? A speed limit. Darn it. Oh man, this bike is so nimble. My visor's causing me problems though in this dark light stuff. Yeah, I need to clean it. I think I cleaned the bugs off the outside, but I didn't clean the dust off the inside. I don't wear this crash helmet very often. It's beautiful around here, isn't it, eh? Beautiful. I'm very, very grateful to Brighton Moto for loaning me this bike for while mine's being serviced. It's not something that they specifically offer people, I don't think. So thank you, Brighton Moto, you're lovely. And they don't give me discounts, they don't give me any special treatment, I don't believe, versus any other person walking in off the street. So I 100% recommend them as a dealership to you. So yeah, not paid promotion, this is not a paid promotion, they're just very, very awesome people to deal with motorcycles and stuff. And it's not often you get a dealership that makes you feel like you want to tell people that, is it? Because a lot of the time you can leave after buying a bike from somewhere with a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth. And I've had aftercare from dealerships which has just felt subpar and not really what you're paying for. Now I know we're paying them because they're highly skilled people to do servicing on our motorcycles, and they've got to have a premises to do that and pay for all their tools and things. So I get that it's expensive, but if I'm handing over however much labour charges an hour at the moment, which is from even back streets or sort of £70 an hour these days, but I expect service with a smile, you know. I expect them to look after you, expect them to do it properly, and that's what Brighton Moto do, and that's what I rave about them. I know that when I pick up a new bike from them, it will have been PDI'd properly, and I know when I go in to get my servicing done, they do everything that's on the service sheet and possibly some extra stuff as well. I've heard horror stories of people in America getting servicing done and they've not even had the firmware updated. Now the world we're in is a very strange one when you have to have the firmware of your motorcycle updated, but that's where we're at, and that's part and parcel of getting your bike serviced these days. It needs to get done, or else your bike will not work as it's supposed to. And I've even had Kevin from Brighton Moto phone me up to tell me there was a firmware update for my Tuareg when it wasn't even due a service. And immediately I said to him, it's like, I've sorted it because I'd done the upmap thing on the bike. But yeah, I mean that's good customer service, that is. Just looking out for the people that have passed over their hard-earned cash and what have you. Yeah, I don't mean to gush about them, but I just think that you should sing praises of people that are good, that treat you right, that don't mess you around and aren't just the Wonga focused. They're a business, every business is Wonga focused, but they're not just Wonga focused, they want a good customer experience. So with the cruise control set, it's a very relaxed ride. The bike just does it itself. But no, the bike is incredibly well balanced. There's not just, yeah, it's pinpoint accurate. It's pinpoint accurate. So the bike is just so balanced that yeah, with the cruise control on, you could pretty much get off the bike and it would just carry on for you. I'm kind of used to the switch gear on this because it's the same as I've got on my Tuareg. So this button here is not something I really am bothered by. I do think it is a little bit fragile looking, but I've not snapped mine off and I've fallen off my bike so many times trail riding. Yeah, I think it's an unfounded worry. I'm sure it would be very expensive to actually snap it off if you did, but I've not, so it's not, and I've not needed to worry about it. although 30 mile/h speed limits are not very good for making exciting YouTube videos, they are quite good for showing you how smooth the throttling is and the fuel map. My Tuareg, when I got that from you, I mentioned earlier about the firmware update. When I got it from you, the mapping on it was a bit iffy at the 30 mile/h constant throttle and 40 mile/h constant throttle. So to see this just sitting there quite happy without any stutters or murmurs or anything like that is great, and it means that this doesn't have the problems that the Tuareg had on that initial firmware. Right, just while we're here, I wanted to just show you the foot peg issue. So you're really close to the swing arm here. It's plastic, so you're not going to wear it out, and you're not going to scratch any paint, which is good. But yeah, you really notice that moving up and down against your foot there. That is the only annoying thing on the bike for me. The foot pegs would be nice if they had rubbers on them, but if I was to buy the bike, I'm sure I could swap them out for the stock foot pegs. Yeah, the bars, they're a little bit far for me, but that's just because I've got an injury, and yeah, for most normal people who are also a little bit taller, then I doubt that would be a problem at all. Other than that, it's just really the seat height that is the main issue for me. Motorcycles on the coast, what more could you ask for, eh? What more could you ask for? Especially on a glorious day like today. Fantasticals, absolutely fantasticals. Right, so if it was my money, would I buy it? It would be a coin flip between this and the stock one, it really would. But I think, because this has sort of 5 horsepower more and does have the extra bits and bobs on it, I think I would get this. I would get the factory. I would get the factory, and I would love it very much. But I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot indeed. I also like the sun shining, the blue sea, and life being absolutely peachy, which it very much is right at this moment in time. Alright then, so that's just about it. I think you've kind of got the gist of how I feel about this bike. If I was weighing up the odds between which one to get, between this and the standard one, I would probably get this one. I just think it's better value for money. And yeah, this or the RS, I don't know, I've not ridden the RS, but I think I'd prefer the riding position of this, although it's not perfect for my shoulder injury. Yeah, so it's a bit tall for me. The bars are a little bit far of a reach for me, but they'll be fine for every other normal person in the world. And the side stand is a little awkward to get up, it's fine to get down, and I would change the foot pegs back to the regular Tuono, not Tuareg, Tuono foot pegs, because they've got the anti-vibration rubber bits, which on a road bike I think is important to have. Right, well that is my summary of the bike, my thoughts, my initial musings and mutterings, and we are now back at Brighton Moto, so I can give them their motorcycle back and pick mine up, hopefully. Oh, lovely jubbly. Yeah, I think this just offers that little bit more than the stock one does. It's very nice. I like it a lot. So as usual, mega thanks to Brighton Moto. They are really good people here. I know I've sung their praises throughout this. This isn't paid promotion, it's just me appreciating good customer service and good people. So yes, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, click the subscribe button, and please drop in a comment as well. Let me know if you've test ridden this bike, what you thought of it, whether you've had to go on both this and the regular 660 Tuono, and yeah, which one would you get? Right, you ride safe, take care, and I shall catch you all in the next one. Bye bye for now. Nice little V7 there, that's the one I'd go for if I was getting a modern V7. I do love that blue, it's gorgeous.
Keep that bar.
Let's go sort bikes.
Rubber side down.